My name is Crystal Gordon and I'm the Regional Manager for Thailand at Trinity College. Now, as Cameron said, Trinity College is a pathway provider to the University of Melbourne. So we are the preferred foundation program for students who want to come to the university. So I'll just give you a little overview on Trinity and the University of Melbourne first. If you've got any questions, please, I'll answer your questions for you after this short presentation, and I can talk to you a little bit more about each of your circumstances. So the University of Melbourne is the #1 university in Australia. So coming to Trinity College Foundation Program, you're actually being able to get guaranteed entry into the University of Melbourne. Now, this building here is where the foundation program is held. Right at the back of this building that you can see is the University of Melbourne campus. So we are within the grounds of the university. Now, I'll talk to you a little bit about the University of Melbourne because this is your end goal and this is where you want to get your qualifications and your degree. So why are you choosing the University of Melbourne? So just a few little rankings about the University of Melbourne. So we have a reputation for excellence. So we're ranked #1 in Australia and number 32 in the world. Now, the reason that we tell you these rankings is because when you do come and study at the University of Melbourne and you get your Australian degree, you can apply for a post-study work visa for 2 years. So you can earn a full-time salary for 2 years before you return home to Thailand. Now, if you're studying at the top university in Australia, of course, employers will look to the top universities first and try and get their graduates before they look to lower tiered universities. So this will really open up doors for you career-wise, for you to set up your career well. And then you can bring those skills back home with you to Thailand and use them in organizations in your home country. Now, in terms of student success, we're ranked #7 in the world for graduate employability. So not only working in Australia, but if you're looking to travel internationally and get a career, whether it be somewhere else in Asia, such as Singapore, or somewhere like America, you can use your Melbourne University degree as your ticket into getting into other areas in the world. Now, we have a very large campus. We have over 50,000 students who come and study at the University of Melbourne, and over 40% of these are international students from over 140 different countries. So it's a very, very diverse campus. You will be studying with students from all over the world, and you can learn lots from different cultures, different students, different mindsets. And these are things that you can take with you into the workplace after you finish your degree. Now, we have very flexible degrees. We have a broad range of majors. So if you come and study something like a Bachelor of Science, for example, you have over 42 different majors to choose from. You can study things such as computer science and IT. You can do something like health sciences, or you can do something like engineering, all within that broader degree of a Bachelor of Science. Now, just in terms of where the University of Melbourne ranks, as you can see, there are many areas that we fall #1 in Australia for. So things such as dentistry or computer science. Maybe you're interested in business such as accounting and finance. Things like medicine or law. We are #1 in Australia. So again, going back to that post-study work visa for 2 years, if our degrees are ranking #1, then employers will be looking for the skills that the graduates from the University of Melbourne have to bring into their workplaces. But not just within Australia, on a worldwide rank, we're #6 in the world for something such as law, #17 in the world for something such as medicine. So there's lots of areas that we actually rank in the top 20, 30 or 40 in the world that you can go and apply for jobs in different areas around the world. So each of the undergraduate degrees offered at the University of Melbourne are listed here. So you may notice we don't offer a Bachelor of Accounting or a Bachelor of Finance. These degrees, we have broad degrees. So we will offer a Bachelor of Commerce, and within a Bachelor of Commerce, you can do a major in finance or economics or management. So we are very similar to the US degrees, where you will do a foundational general undergraduate degree in your undergraduate 3-year program, and then you will go on and specialize in graduate level or masters. So now we'll talk about your immediate steps into getting into the University of Melbourne, and this is your foundation studies pathway. So just a little bit of information about Trinity College Foundation Program. Now we have very, very high academic standards. To get into the University of Melbourne, we will be looking for students who are very bright, who are very academically driven. And so when we look at your school leaving results to come into the foundation program, we're quite strict with our cutoff points. So the entry requirements which we publish are the minimum requirements to get into Trinity College. Now, as I mentioned before, we are on the campus of the University of Melbourne. Now, this is a really, really big advantage because you're coming from the school mentality where you know your school really well. You know where your classrooms are, your cafeteria, everything is very familiar for you. But when you come to a very big university campus, it can be very, very overwhelming. Now, as a Trinity College student, you'll be studying in a foundation studies building, but as a foundation student, you will be able to explore the grounds of the University of Melbourne. You can use the facilities such as the gyms, the cafes, the libraries, and you get to explore slowly in that one-year foundation program, so that when you do start at the University of Melbourne, say if you're doing a science degree, you already know where the science labs are. Or if you're going to study law in the future, you know where the law building is. This can be very helpful for you when you do transition into university. Now, another great advantage of Trinity College is our small class sizes. We have a maximum of 15 students to one teacher in small tutorial groups or in laboratories. This gives you the opportunity to get to know your peers really well. You can do lots of teamwork. You get to ask lots of questions. You get to know your teacher really well as well. There will be lots of open discussions in the classroom, lots of opportunities to voice your opinions. And this is a great way where you can actually learn further. Everything we teach you at Trinity College is academically supervised by the University of Melbourne. Now, in Thailand, there are many different curriculums. Maybe you're studying IGCSEs, maybe you're studying the IB program, or maybe you're studying the local curriculum, you're studying the Matayom 6 curriculum. Now, in each of these curriculums, we will teach a subject such as math or English, but math in IB versus IGCSEs is very different. They're different curriculums. So when you come to university, you still need to fill in the gaps in knowledge. Now, when you come to Trinity College and you study something such as mathematics, what we teach you in foundation studies will directly follow on at the University of Melbourne. You don't need to fill in any gaps. We've set up the foundation for you to build those building blocks into your undergraduate degree. And this can really help you excel well when you do get into university. Now, 1 of 4 international students studying at the University of Melbourne come from Trinity College. So many of your friends that you meet in the foundation program will actually be with you later on in your university degree. And over 70% of Trinity students will actually progress into the University of Melbourne. Now, I just want to state, if for whatever reason you don't get the scores to get into Trinity College, that doesn't mean that you can't get into another Australian degree. The Trinity College Foundation score is recognised by all Australian universities. So if you do not get that spot in the University of Melbourne, you can take your Trinity Foundation program score and go to any other Australian university and you can apply into one of their undergraduate degrees. Now, one of the big things at Trinity College which students have to understand is we are not a school. We are structured like a university. Now, this lecture hall here that you can see in this slide is within the Trinity College campus. You may be sitting in a lecture with 200-300 students listening and getting your content. Now, the lectures at Trinity College are 90 minutes. The way that we structure our timetable are lectures, tutorials, and laboratories. You'll have 90-minute lectures such as this, where you'll be sitting in the big lecture hall. There's not a lot of interaction with your lecturer. But when you go to the small tutorial classes with the maximum of 15 students to one teacher, that's where you have more active participation. You can ask your questions. You can get advice from your teacher. You can ask and you can learn more about the specific topics that have been covered in the lecture. And same in the laboratories as well. That's where you do your practical activities. You can do your experiments and things like that. Now, another thing is the timetable. Now, at school now, you may have a very set timetable. Maybe your school is 8 till 3 or 8 till 4. You've got set lunch times, set break times, set assembly times. Everything is very structured for you. Now, when you come to university, depending on what subjects you study, your timetable can be very, very different to your peers. Maybe you come to class on a Monday and you've got a very, very busy day, lots of lectures, lots of tutorials, lots of labs. But maybe on a Tuesday, you've only got one class, 2 p.m. till 3:30. What are you doing on either side of that class? You have to remember that when you do come across to Melbourne, you're not just here to study. You have to learn how to live independently. You will need to go and buy groceries. You will need to cook for yourself. You will need to clean for yourself. Of course, it's very important to socialize and get involved in clubs and societies. You can't be a student that studies all the time because you can get burnt out very quickly. It's very important to have your rest times, your socializing times, and also know when to study. Now, this is something that you maybe have never had to manage for yourself, but this is something that you can learn at Trinity College. You can learn what works best for you. Maybe you're a morning studier, maybe you're a night studier. You can have a bit of trial and error. So when you get into university, you already know what type of student you are and what works best for you. Now, this is the student lounge at Trinity College. We have outstanding facilities. This Gateway building where the foundation program is held was built in 2016. So it's a new building and we are very, very interactive in our classes. We've got very high technology equipment and things like that. You do iPad learning at Trinity College. So in many cases in your lectures, you'll have to do attendance quizzes where the teacher will put up the quiz on the screen and you will have to participate and things like that. So we are very tech savvy at Trinity College. And this is something that the University of Melbourne uses as well. So we will transition you from that classroom mentality into that higher education mentality. Now, some of the skills that you will gain at Trinity College, which you may have not learned at school. So things such as active participation. Now, I'm not sure what your classrooms are like and how willing your teachers are for people to speak up and ask questions. But at Trinity College, students who speak up and ask the questions in tutorial classes, that is encouraged. We want students to ask questions, to pose different thoughts, to look from different angles. This is an important part of learning. Now, academic writing skills are very important. We know you're both students. You've written many essays throughout your school life. But now we're going into that higher level of academic writing, teaching you how to be concise and to the point. You can write an essay for 2,000 words, but you can actually say the same information in 1,500 words. It's teaching you how to be concise and to the point. Critical thinking skills are very important at Trinity College. We have a subject called History of Ideas, which is a Trinity subject all about critical thinking. It's about looking at a topic from different angles, looking at different arguments and justifying your view. We want you as students to create your own academic opinion. I don't want to have the same opinion as you. We should have different views on the same topic. And as long as we both know how to argue our cases with the right evidence, we can both get the same marks. And this is a very important concept moving into university study. Things such as researching skills. What is the right form of research? You can't just go to Google or Wikipedia pages. You need to use proper journal banks and things like that. So we will teach you at Trinity College what the right forms of research are. And these journal banks that you use at Trinity, you will actually be using at the University of Melbourne as well. Challenging ideas and right answers. So going back to what I was saying before, we don't need to have the same opinions. We don't have to agree with everything that we read. It's okay for us to have opposing views. That's very much what the world is all about these days. And another very important skill you will learn is public speaking. All Trinity students, it is compulsory for them to do drama classes at Trinity. And the reason why is in any degree, regardless of what field you get into, the ability to communicate with others, the ability to collaborate and speak confidently and clearly is a very important skill. And in any field that you get into, you will need to do oral presentations. And this is a core component of university study. So I've just listed the subjects that we do offer at Trinity College. When you come to Trinity College, you study 5 subjects. There are 2 core subjects, which are English and history of ideas. Regardless of what field you want to study in the future, you will study these subjects. This is core curriculum. So the English is split into 3 components: English literature, which focuses on your academic writing skills; drama, which focuses on your public speaking skills; and English for academic purposes is where we teach you about referencing skills, setting up bibliographies and things like that. So we'll teach you how to set up your assignments for university study. The second core subject is history of ideas. And this is very much that critical thinking skill, generating critical thinking skills and asking you to form your own opinion and justify your opinion and using evidence to support that. And then we have elective subjects. Now, of course, it will depend on what degree you would like to get into. So, for example, if you're interested in an area such as biomedicine, a Bachelor of Biomedicine at the University of Melbourne, the prerequisite subjects that you must take at Trinity are Mathematics 1 and Chemistry. If you want to take a subject such as Commerce, if you're interested in anything related to business, you must take Mathematics 1. So these prerequisite subjects, we will help you. You don't need to pick your subjects before you come to the program. That is all done during your orientation week. But just so you get an idea of some of the subjects we have on offer at Trinity College, I've just put them on the slide here. Now, very important question. Everyone wants to know, what do I need to get into Trinity College? So I've just listed the different academic entry requirements for Trinity. Now, if you're studying IB diploma, even if you complete the IB diploma, so some students who complete IB diploma but don't get the direct entry score into University of Melbourne, that's okay. We can accept you, but we will still look at the first year of the IB results. So that's often a school-generated result. If you do IGCSE O levels, the minimum requirement is 4 Bs and 1 C. Or if you're studying local curriculum, we need a GPA of 3 or higher in 4 subjects. So please feel free to take a screenshot if you need, but these are all in our prospectus, and definitely speak to Insight and come to Insight with your results, and they will be able to tell you which intake you're able to get into. Now, how do we get guaranteed entry into the University of Melbourne through Trinity? When you come to Trinity College, you study the 5 subjects. We take an average of the best 4. The best 4 average, we create a percentage, and just listed here is your Trinity College guaranteed entry score. So if you don't have to be the 100% student. You can be getting into a Bachelor of Science with a best 4 average of 80%. Now, if I receive an 80 and you receive a 90, and we both want to get into a Bachelor of Science, we both have a spot reserved for us at the University of Melbourne. So these are the minimum entry scores to get into the University of Melbourne. And as soon as you meet that hurdle requirement, your spot at the university is guaranteed for you. Now, the prerequisite subjects listed here are the subjects you must take at Trinity College. Again, if you've got any specific questions, I'm more than happy to speak to you one-on-one and tell you what subjects you should expect to study at Trinity College. Now, there's lots of conversation about COVID-19, and I thought I'd just very quickly talk about that, because I know many students are thinking, I want to study an overseas, international education, but I'm not quite sure what's happening. At Trinity College, many students are studying with us online. The key message that we are trying to drive is it's actually better for students to not take big gaps in their education. So some students think, I'll take 6 months off and see what the situation will be like. But if you let your brain go to sleep for 6 months or a year, it can be very hard to pick up the momentum of being a student. Now, you've been students for 12, 13 years prior to this point. And if you think I might just take a gap year and just see what the situation, how the situation unfolds, you may find that you're not doing yourself any favors by taking a break and actually having to relearn how to do assignments, do essays, and how to study. The biggest thing, of course, is getting your spot at the University of Melbourne. And so we want students to actually gain their spot in the University of Melbourne. And once you're within the university, if you choose to defer a semester, to do a bit of travel or take some time off, that's more than fine. And many students do that. But just to answer anyone's questions, for the rest of this year, the study will be online learning, which means you don't have to travel across to Melbourne. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. Looking into next year, because we really don't know what the situation will be like, we may have a hybrid program where, depending on when the borders open, you may be doing a portion of your program online, but as soon as it's safe to bring you across to Melbourne, as soon as it's safe to do so, we will be bringing you back onto campus in Melbourne, and you will continue your foundation program. Now, students who are studying online, if you've got questions about that, I have lots of student testimonials and links I can definitely share with you. So definitely ask those questions. Now, Trinity is not just about academics. We are it is very important to us to look after our students and to provide lots of support. And student well-being is very important to us too. We have a very popular mentoring program. All students will receive a mentor who is your regular contact. Whether you're studying online or you're studying in person, you have someone to catch up with once in a while to keep you on track during your foundation program. Your mentor, you can just have a normal chat with them. They're not always academics, sometimes they're professional staff. And maybe you just want to just say, yeah, I'm going fine, I'm making friends, I'm enjoying life, and you just want someone to touch base with you. That is what your mentor is there for. But maybe you actually do need some assistance and you're not sure who to go to. Speak to your mentor and they will be able to direct you to the right person. Now, we have a very strong welfare team at Trinity College. So we've got a college nurse and counsellors who are also available, again, online or in person. So if you need to speak to a counsellor, maybe you're feeling a little bit stressed or you're not managing your time management well, you can speak to a counsellor and they can talk you through different strategies to help you being a student in your foundation program. And teachers and lecturers are more than happy to have one-on-one consultations with you, but often closer to exam time, lecturers will actually open up revision classes which you can attend. So when you can come with your questions and they can go over key topics or exercises, and they can just do different topics in the weeks leading up to exams. So these things are all available for students to help them get into the University of Melbourne and help them in their foundation year. Now, if you are under 18 and you're coming across to Melbourne, we have lots of under 18 support. We have under 18 accommodation where we have a guardian on site, and you have a curfew. The curfew is 9:30 p.m. every day, where you need to be back in your accommodation, signed in. Now, this is part of our duty of care, and it's just for us to for you to be accounted for, because you will be a minor. So all of these things are there just to keep you safe and make sure you're well looked after when you do come to Trinity College. Again, we've got lots of clubs and societies. Trinity has its own clubs and societies, but many Trinity students are accepted by the clubs and societies of the University of Melbourne. Now, I actually sponsor the Melbourne University Thai Student Association. Many of the committee members are ex-Trinity students. And so if you join that club as a Trinity student, you can hear from your seniors. You can ask them about their transition into Melbourne, their transition into university. You can speak to them about their foundation year and what they found hard, what they enjoyed, and gain advice. These are definitely something that we recommend you to get involved in. This is a way for you to meet friends and people from other fields. Maybe you're a student studying arts and you can become friends with students studying sciences or business subjects and things like that. So this is something that we always recommend our students get involved with. But of course, you know how many clubs and societies you're able to get involved with in order for you to still be able to do your study and do well. So that's something that you will have to manage when you do come across and start with us at Trinity College. And again, we have lots of events. So often during exam week, there may be free breakfasts, or for the Lunar New Year, we do lots of little activities, and Christmas in July and things like that. So we've got lots of student events during some key seasons, just to help you, you know, get to know people, have a little bit of fun, have a bit of food, and this is a way for you to get connected. So this is something that we definitely recommend students attend as well. So why Melbourne? I guess most of you will have had to think about where you actually want to study, what you want to do, and you've come to some sort of conclusion that Melbourne is a destination that you'd like to study in. Now, Melbourne is the second most livable city in the world. And some of the reasons for this is it's a very, very safe city, and we are very multicultural. Now, it is a massive student hub. We're the third most popular international student destination in the world. Some of the reasons for this is the culture of Melbourne. So we've got sporting and culture, food and coffee culture, lots of arts events. If you go down Melbourne laneways, there's lots of street art and things like this. It's a very, very lively city. It's a very beautiful city. There's lots of green spaces, so lots of outdoor life in Melbourne. We are very close to key tourist attractions. It's only half an hour on a tram to go to St Kilda Beach, which is one of the closest beaches to us. And the fantastic thing about Trinity and the University of Melbourne is it's only 10 minutes by tram into Melbourne CBD. So you are right in the hub of the city. So as a Trinity student or as a University of Melbourne student, you get to experience everything that the city has to offer. And you're very, very, very close. You can go to the city between classes, and often you'll be living very close to Trinity College and the University of Melbourne as well.